You ever have something stolen right out from under you and everyone tells you, sorry, nothing you can do? That's what happened to me. But instead of giving up, I made sure the thieves never forgot who they messed with. It started with a road, my road. When I moved into Willow Bend Estates, I knew the neighborhood was nice. Clean lawns, quiet cul-de-sacs, kids riding bikes until dusk. What I didn't know was that our Homeowners Association was basically a cartel with clipboards. See, my house sat at the end of a private gravel road. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. The previous owner had kept it in his name, and when I bought the house, the deed transferred to me. That meant I paid for the upkeep, grading, and snow clearing. Honestly, I liked it that way. It gave me privacy. Anyone who wanted to get to my house had to go down my road. But one Tuesday morning, I noticed something strange. A shiny new street sign had been hammered into the ground at the entrance to my road. It said, Maple Way, HOA property. At first I thought, weird mistake. Maybe the city messed up. But then I saw two HOA board members standing there, clipboards in hand, nodding proudly like they just planted a flag on the moon. I walked over. Hey, I said, that's not HOA property. That road belongs to me. It's on my deed. One of them, a thin, sharp-eyed guy named Brent, smirked. Not anymore. The board voted last week to annex this road into the association. Annex? I repeated, like I just heard the word for the first time. You can't just take a road. That's not how property works. He adjusted his sunglasses, smug as hell. It's for the good of the community. Now everyone has access to it. We filed the paperwork. I swear my blood pressure spiked 50 points in that moment. They were acting like they'd done me a favor, when really, they had just stolen land I'd paid for. The next day I got a letter. Effective immediately, the road is under HOA jurisdiction. Any maintenance fees will be billed to all residents equally. Translation: I'd still be paying for it, but now so would everyone else, and the HOA would get the pocket administrative costs. I went down to the county records office. Sure enough, the HOA had filed a petition claiming the road was abandoned. The clerk shrugged and said once it was filed, it would take months, maybe years to dispute it. Months. Years. Meanwhile, every car in the subdivision started using my road like it was a shortcut. SUVs, trucks, speeding teenagers, chewing up the gravel, leaving trash. My peaceful driveway turned into a freeway. And the HOA, they loved it. They started enforcing rules on the road. They put up speed signs, parking restrictions, even threatened to fine me when my friend parked on the shoulder for 15 minutes. I can't explain the mix of anger and helplessness I felt. It wasn't just about the road. It was about control. They'd stolen something from me, slapped their name on it, and acted like I should be grateful. That night, my dad called. He's the type of man who doesn't say much, but when he does, you listen. Son, he said, they took something that was yours. You gonna let that stand? And that was the moment I knew. I wasn't just gonna fight back. I was gonna teach them a lesson they never forget. Act 2, the setup. The plan didn't come to me all at once. It started small. I thought, maybe I'll put up a barricade, but the HOA would just tear it down. Maybe I'll sue them, but that would take years, and in the meantime, I'd lose my mind watching them abuse my road. No, I needed something faster, sharper, something that would humiliate them. The clue came a week later at the HOA's monthly meeting. They held it in the clubhouse, all polished wood floors and folding chairs. I sat in the back, quiet, while they pat themselves on the back for increasing community assets. When it came time for open floor, I raised my hand. What about parking enforcement? I asked. Derek, the HOA president, a bald man with too much cologne, puffed his chest. Oh, we've tightened that up. Every vehicle must be registered with the HOA. No exceptions. That's when it clicked. Every one of them, Derek, Brent, all the smug little board members, drove cars they worshiped. SUVs, luxury sedans, even a Corvette that Brent bragged about every other sentence. They lorded over residents with fines, but heaven forbid anyone touched their precious vehicles. They wanted to steal from me? Fine. I take from them the thing they value most. But I wasn't gonna steal their cars. That'll land me in jail. No, I was gonna make them vanish. The first step was research. I spent hours walking the neighborhood, noting license plates, parking habits, schedules. I knew when Brent left for work. I knew Derek's wife always parked her Lexus halfway across the sidewalk. I even knew Pamela, the board secretary, left her minivan idling for 10 minutes every morning while she drank coffee. The second step was leverage. Remember how they registered every car with the HOA? That registry was public record within the community. I pulled a copy. Every vehicle, every plate, every make and model. The third step? A little creativity. I had a buddy from college, a tow truck driver. Legally, he couldn't just haul cars off private property without authorization. But you know who could? The HOA themselves. So I got crafty. Using the same formatting as the HOA violation notices, I drafted official-looking vehicle relocation orders. They cited rule infractions, blocking sight lines, improper overnight parking, unregistered guests, all perfectly worded, all signed with a forged digital signature from Derek himself. Then, one by one, I slipped them onto the windshields of the board members' cars. At 3 a.m., my buddy rolled in with his tow truck. By dawn, every single board member's car had been hauled to the impound lot 20 miles away. Corvette? Gone. Lexus? Gone. The smug SUV with HOA for life vanity plates? Gone. And because the orders looked official, the impound lot accepted them without question. The chaos the next morning was beautiful. Derek stormed down my road in a fury, screaming into his phone. Brent stood in the cul-de-sac staring at the empty spot where his Corvette used to sit. Paula cried to anyone who would listen, swearing someone had stolen her van. But the best part? Every neighbor who had ever been bullied by the HOA came out to watch them. They sipped coffee, leaned on fences, and grinned as the board members panicked. I stood on my porch sipping my own coffee, pretending to be just as surprised as everyone else. By noon, the board was in shambles. They called the police, who showed up, looked at the paperwork and said, "Looks legit to us. Take it up with your HOA." It was glorious. But that was just the beginning, because I wasn't done yet. The morning after the cars vanished was something out of a comedy show. The HOA board, these people who strutted around like kings, were reduced to panicked kids who'd lost their toys. By mid-morning, I'd heard that Brent had spent nearly 2 hours on the phone, first screaming at the police, then screaming at his insurance company, and finally screaming at the towing yard. Nobody could help him. The impound lot wasn't budging. They had official relocation orders, stamped and signed. If the HOA wanted their cars back, they had to pay the fees, hundreds of dollars each. And the funniest part? Since the orders looked like they came from the HOA itself, the impound company billed the association. The HOA's budget? Already stretched thin from their stupid pet projects. Suddenly, they were facing thousands in unexpected expenses. By noon, Derek called an emergency meeting in the clubhouse. I didn't even have to go inside. The walls were thin and everyone in the neighborhood gathered around to listen. "I don't care what it costs," Derek shouted. "We need those vehicles back immediately. This is an attack on the integrity of the HOA." Integrity. The man said it with a straight face. Paula's voice broke through, sharp and shrill. "You signed those orders, Derek. Your signature is right there. How could you let this happen?" "I didn't sign anything," he barked. "Oh, so someone just magically forged your name? What else is being forged around here, huh?" It was music to my ears. They weren't just panicking, they were turning on each other. Of course, bullies never go down without swinging back. The next day, I got a violation notice. Failure to maintain property. Excessive grass length. Fine, $250. I laughed out loud. My grass was trimmed like a golf course. They were desperate. Then came another. Unauthorized structure on property. Suspected illegal cat shelter. Fine, $500. I didn't even own a cat. By the end of the week, they'd hit me with nearly $2,000 in bogus fines. They thought they could pressure me into submission, bury me in paperwork, maybe even push me to move out. But here's the thing about desperation. It makes people sloppy. One evening, I was walking my stolen road when I noticed a manila folder sticking out of the HOA's little drop box by the clubhouse. Curiosity got the better of me. I pulled it out. Inside, financial records, receipts, transactions, a list of maintenance projects that didn't exist, landscaping for $8,000 when the only landscaping done that year was a few shrubs Paula's nephew planted, a community event that supposedly cost $5,000, yet no one had ever attended such a thing. It didn't take long to piece it together. They weren't just bullies, they were thieves. The board had been bleeding the HOA's budget for years, funneling money into their own pockets. Now I had proof. I knew if I just handed the documents to the authorities, it would take months. And honestly, that wasn't enough. I wanted the entire neighborhood to see them fall. So I made copies of every single document. I stapled them together into neat packets, and then, late at night, I slipped one onto every porch in Willow Bend Estates. The next morning, the neighborhood exploded. $8,000 from mulch? Where is it? Why are there payments to a company none of us have heard of? Who's pocketing our money? By noon, half the neighborhood marched to the clubhouse demanding answers. Derek tried to wave it off as misunderstandings. Brent claimed it was accounting errors. Paula tried crying again, but this time nobody cared. The residents wanted blood. Someone shouted, "Call the county!" Another yelled, "We want a full audit!" And then came the final nail. Someone posted pictures of the missing cars on the community Facebook group, along with the forged relocation orders. If they can't even protect their own cars, how can they run our neighborhood? The caption read. The board was finished. Within 2 weeks, the entire HOA board had resigned. The county launched an investigation into their finances. Derek quietly sold his house and moved 2 towns over. Brent kept his Corvette, but every time he drove through the neighborhood, people whispered. Paula's van broke down 2 months later, and no one offered to help. As for the HOA, a new board was elected, one made up of regular residents who actually cared about the community. Their first act? Restoring the deed of the road back to me. I can't describe the feeling of holding that document in my hands again. My road, my property. I didn't gloat. I didn't rub it in. I just poured myself a cup of coffee, sat on my porch, and watched the sunset hit the gravel path. It was peaceful again. And every time I saw one of those former board members forced to take the long way around because they were too ashamed to drive past my house, I smiled. They'd stolen from me. I'd stolen back their pride, their money, and their cars without ever laying a hand on them. That's the thing about bullies. They crumble when someone finally stands up. And me? I made damn sure they'll think twice before crossing anyone again.